Artificial intelligence drives the development of global societies, and Finland is at the heart of turning the theory into practice. Finnish AI Region Fair is a new European digital innovation hub that fast-forwards your AI abilities to the next decade. As part of an EU flagship initiative, Fair EDIH solves real-life business problems using both existing and novel AI. Focusing on digital services, smart cities, and health sector, Fair offers the services of 60 AI professors and their teams, access to Europe's fastest supercomputer Lumi, state-of-the-art test facilities, and world-class venture capital. Fair aims to be genuinely useful, bringing concepts to life. We help SMEs transform AI-empowered innovations into actual products and better internal processes. Through collaboration, we enable SMEs to take a leap in productivity and competitiveness, taking them to the forefront of utilization of AI in their field. Our services include needs analysis and road mapping, training, test before invest, matchmaking, support to find investments. With FAIR, you get access to a unique network of pioneering AI operators in Finland, from leading academic institutions and corporations to the 3 capital region cities, Helsinki, Vantaa, and Espoo. FAIR supports ethically sustainable and ecologically endurable choices, all through reliable, cutting-edge technological innovations. This allows us to make the societal impact we envision. Digital challenges. Together, we will overcome. With FAIR, you become the future.
Oh, hello, and welcome to this EDIH investor event today. My name is Lea Myyryläinen, and I'm running the North region here in Finland. Do we have the first slide? No. So yeah, you will continue that. So basically, North region comprises of Scandinavia, Finland, and Baltics, and we have offices here in Helsinki, actually in Espoo, and then Stockholm and in Tallinn. So anywhere in this region, if you're involved with the startup scale-ups, investors, please connect with us on this. For the FAIR context, we do access to finance and help scale-ups to get funding from Europe. So I welcome to the event and introduce Mikael Långström, our ecosystem lead for the region.
Hey. Good afternoon on my behalf as well. I'm just going to try that this works. Nice animation. So, EIT Digital as a FAIR partner, and my name is Mikael Långström. I work as an ecosystem lead here at the North region for EIT Digital. I also have a guest speaker here today with me, Abhishek Kumar from Ecotect, who's going to talk about his experience in one of our programs. But before, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Finnish AI region, a little bit about EIT Digital, and after me, Jari is going to explain about our growth services, which are part of the Finnish AI region services. But if your company is not in that stage yet, I'm also going to give you a couple of examples about different services that how we can help you go into the growth phase with your company. So a little bit about the Finnish AI region first. So it's focusing on AI, AR, cybersecurity, and hypercomputing focus. Most of the services are free of charge. So, and I'm going to give you a website or QR code that you can use so you can quickly get to get the access to these services. We aim to accelerate and expand the adoption of artificial intelligence in small and medium-sized enterprises, and we are funded by European Commission, Business Finland, and Innovation Fund of City of Helsinki. Here are the Finnish AI region partners. There's, like in the video you already saw, there's 3 cities, there's universities, there's appliance sciences, there's different actors like KiraHub, CSC, EIT Digital Enter Espoo, and Helsinki XR Center, and these partners are offering you top-class services inside Finnish AI region. And if I would go through all the services that Finnish AI region does, it would take probably all the time that I have for my speech today. So I'm just gonna highlight a couple of them. Of course, the support to find networking and support to find investments that Jari is gonna explain later on. But what I really like is about the need and analysis, or like actually the training session, where you can find different kind of training courses from Finnish AI region website, which are very, very top class training sessions. And also if you are looking for some solution development, I highly recommend the thesis workers that you can find through the FAIR services to help you to go next stage with your company. And how to get in touch and learn more. Of course, there is the website www.fairedih.fi. And if you would like to learn more about the services or get in touch with the different people who are working at the Finnish AI region, I highly recommend to scan the QR code now and fill in the form that will open for you. I think that you can also open it through the streaming services as well, scanning the QR code. So that little bit about, everybody has scanned the code already? Let's wait for a moment. Great. So a little bit about EIT Digital. So we have pan-European network. Like Leah mentioned, I work at the North region, which consists the Scandinavia and the Baltic region. Here is our mission and also our values. So we drive towards a competitive digital Europe that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable. And we are trying to find like-minded partners to work together with us. And this is especially important because most of the services that we do them together with our partners. So we want really to find like-minded people and like-minded entities. And I forgot to mention earlier that EIT Digital is part of the EIT family, where we are tackling different global problems and solutions. And our role in that family is to tackle the digitalization of industries. We are heavily focusing on deep tech solutions, for example, quantum computing and Chips Tech Act, but especially also in the artificial intelligence. And that is the main topic here at FAIR. Some numbers about EIT Digital. We have about 3,000 EIT Digital Master School graduates. So we run our own master school together with the top universities within Europe. We have our own portfolio of different deep tech companies. I think nowadays the number is already 250 plus. We have helped different scale-ups to raise up to 1.3 billion euros. And we are also working in many different EU calls. And here's a number of 100 million euros where EIT Digital has been strategically leading the partnership for collaboration of EU projects. We are a partnership organization, so we have about 350 partners in our organization that we work together with and who we provide the services together with. And we bring the academia, the startups, the corporations all together in our services. So here is some video about the same numbers, I guess. 56 universities, 3,000 students in our talent pool, 350 partners, 500 startups. We also have a hub in Silicon Valley and 21 offices in Europe. And a bit diving deeper into our organization here in the North region, what Leah already mentioned. She is our regional director. We also have hired a brand new ecosystem administrator, Satu Kuusisto, and that is the reason why I don't have her picture here yet. So that's why the blank circle here. I work here as an ecosystem lead. I'm mainly focusing in the Finnish region, but I also help my colleagues Jasman Folarienpor, who is focusing in the Scandinavia, and Janno Viiding, who is focusing in the Baltics. At this very moment, we are also looking to open a new office in Latvia. So soon we will start recruiting a new ecosystem lead in Latvia as well. We also have people working in our office here in Espoo actually. who are straight in contract with our central office in Brussels. Jari Mieskonen, who is our venture capital expert. Jyrki Karasvirta, who is leading our staff and operations. And Susanna Aalto, who is working in different kind of projects that we do. And our services that I mentioned earlier, that we would like to find like also companies, not only in the growth stage companies, but also the companies who are in the pre-seed or seed stage, or then encourage students and other individuals to find their own new ventures. So we have different programs from a student all the way to the unicorn. So in student we have these programs like Jumpstarter, Summer School and Deep Hacks that we do. And for incubation phase we have a EIT Digital incubator where where a company that isn't already founded can join, and they can get like a little bit of funding, coaching, and also developing their first MVP, and also get introductions to their first investors and hopefully get the first investment in the company. Then accelerator phase, which I'm going to be talking a little bit more about, the EIT Digital Open Innovation Factory, where we do seed invest in the pre-seed seed invest in companies that are up 3 years old and focusing in digitalization of some industry. And then we have the growth services that Jari will explain to you a bit later. But I'm going to be focusing here in the accelerator in the Open Innovation Factory. Here is another slide where you can actually find where your company might fit in our service portfolio. If you have an idea, we have a program called Jumpstarter. Idea, you have already then EIT Digital Incubator, prototype, MVP. I'm going to highlight here the EIT Digital Open Innovation Factory. Or then if you are already a scaling company, then you can access our growth services. And now going a bit deeper into the Open Innovation Factory. So what is Open Innovation Factory? It's a 6-month-long project where we fund the company up to 400,000 euros. We take equity in exchange of this funding, and the company has a goal to generate at least 10,000 euros revenue during the 6-month project. We help these companies by doing matchmaking between, for example, there's potential service providers or sometimes customers or then investors. This is a program for fast-growing companies, like I said before, that are at least 3 years old. And a little bit more how we help these companies is that, well, like I mentioned, we do the matchmaking together with the companies. Of course, we would like to find the companies who already know what they're doing. They probably have already their first customers on board. They can find like partners easier. But if not, then we are here to help. They also have the possibility to utilize our talent pool, 3,000 students that we have in our school alumni. They receive coaching from our mentors. For example, myself, I help these companies to make as good proposals as possible. And this can work as an EU validation that can assist market access across the European Union. And we work as a silent investor, so we won't tell for the companies who come on board what to do in the future. A little bit about the financial support. So it's not something that comes before or straight after you are selected to Open Innovation Factory. It's a grant model. It's up to 50% of eligible costs. So if we bring, for example, 200,000 euros, the company or the consortia who applies for this Open Innovation Factory has to bring their own 200,000. So matching 50%. It can be sweat equity as well, so it doesn't all have to be capital. The payment model goes following. In the beginning of the activity, the venture gets 10% of funding. In the midterm reporting, which means 3 months, they get up to 25% of funding. And then when the activity is done, they get 25% funding. and the rest, 40%, comes after the evaluation. So it doesn't all come straight forward, pre-financing, but it comes little by little. And a little bit about the equity transfer. So I said that it's funding against equity. So the equity percentage is between 5.5 to 12%. I had the old number in the previous slide. There was 10%, but it's between 5.5 to 12%, and this depends on the company maturity. So the company itself gives us an idea. Okay, we think that we are valued this and this much, and in exchange of this money that we are asking from you, we are willing to give you this amount of equity. But I don't think that I'm the best person to talk about the experience about working in the Open Innovation Factory, and that's the reason why I invited Abhishek here to explain about little bit about your experiences working in the Open Innovation Factory. So Abhishek, please, welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. So thank you, Mikkel, for inviting. And my name is Abhishek Kumar. I am founder and CEO of Ecotech. And at Ecotech, we are using sustainable technologies for building houses. So first, I will explain about our startup, what we do, and then like later, I will explain about my experiences in EIT Digital Innovation Factory. So we have a solution here that it's a design marketplace for architects, and its combination with the 3D concrete printing. So this is our platform where architects globally, they can upload their design, showcase them, and sell them globally. Then these designs are selected, and we have these large scale 3D printers. These designs are then converted into the panels, concrete panels. These panels are sustainable and robotically manufactured, and this increases the speed. And these panels are then assembled on site to build houses. And this is how the first our prototype we are working on this looks like. So by doing this, we save 30 to 35% of the cost and CO2 emission and 65% of the time. So this is very valuable, and now we are having more projects in Denmark, Stockholm, and the photos which you saw earlier were from Spain. So we have a team which includes so I'm an architect myself. Mikkel Hoylund is also an architect. So we have a construction background. We have a Jukka Kola, he's here. I have a business advisor and a scientific advisor, Stefania, and also the business developer. So we have a combination of this technical, scientific, and also business. So now we are raising 340,000 euro, and the idea is to increase the sales in 8 different countries and generate the revenue of 1 million euro this year. So let's go back to from where it all started. I saw this advertisement, I think it was in 2022, and we were looking for money. So we always look for money to startup, and it's a deep tech. So the challenge with the deep tech is that it takes a lot of time, and it's a hardware products. So it's not that easy to raise money from the regular investors. We got some grants from support of the government, and also we invested our own money. So with this advertisement, and then I spoke with Mikhail, then he explained to me about the innovation factory, and then so first what was important for us was the cash and the capital, and we could raise up to 400,000 euros. That was so this is what we did. Then we also need to have a partners, and for 2 years, we were speaking with the DigitalTech to have a collaboration, so that this actually accelerated. So it was already in back on our mind, but now because of the application, it was requirement. So we collaborated with the university for the product development. So, and then we applied for the, this is a screenshot from your platform, right? So, I mean, this is very important here that it's the application itself is kind of looking back to what we have done, because sometimes the founders, we are always thinking for the future and so on. But when you sit down and write down what you have done, and it's like updates. So I think people ignore it, but for us, the application process where you make the work packages, what you're going to achieve. So it's like creating milestone for your 6 months. So this is very important, and to sit down and work on the application. And also Mikkel is here, and the EIT Digital team is here to help us that how to do it. Then this one was completely ignored. So we got into it, and then we participated in this Speed Master program, which helps the startups. So personally, I think we've been part of 3-4 accelerator programs here in Finland and in UU. I would say that this is the best accelerator. This is the best training we got. It's a 3 months long training. It costs 100,000 euro, but if you are part of EIT Digital, it's free, right? And this is pan-European, and experts from different countries, they come and they give a training. And I would highly encourage that also join this. It's good for every startups. Then now we are again, because I'm speaking about what training we got, this AI also, the AI essentials generating, and we are doing the training in this, and this is also like keeping us up to date from what is happening, in the current situations. So these two are the training program which we did not expect. To be honest, we just applied for the money, but then this support is so good that. And then what happened we were invited in Brussels. This is the matchmaking event in Aalto University. So we have office in Aalto Startup Center, and I was surprised that how many talented people are just around in the same building, but we never speak. So in this event, it was amazing to participate in meeting the talent. That there is a EIT manufacturing program, for example, and for digital. AI, UX development, and so on. So I think this is also good that it was a surprise for us that we can find the talent here. And thank you for having. Please keep doing it every year. It's really helpful for us because finding a talent is a huge challenge, to be honest, and it's very expensive, and it takes months. But here it's very useful. Also, we were invited to present in Brussels. This was the the flagship event of EIT Digital, where it's Grow Digital 2023, and it was a 2 days event. But yeah, we had the stall exhibition, and we spoke with the other startups and the investors. So what the key here is that it's not just for Finnish startup, but what they do is that they take you out and expand to that you grow in the European market. So for example, we have Tallinn Technical University. We went out of Finland and also to Brussels, and then through Brussels we made few contacts and so on, and now we have a project in Spain. So this is what it's really good that you are helping the startups to get out of their region. This is what I have to share, that it was very useful when it comes to the funding, the education part, the school, which is very important, and also the marketing and showcasing our technology to the investors. So yeah, thank you. And if you need any help how to apply, or I have done so I can help you out. Mikkel is here, so yeah, you can. So okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek. And I don't have anything to add here. If you have any questions or comments later on, I'm happy to answer. But I would like to introduce my colleague Jari Mieskonen then next on the stage to talk about the growth services.
Thank you. So, hello everybody. So I'm Jari, as Mika said, and I'm representing services, not the money. So it's a little bit disappointment, of course. But services could be transferred into money as well. So we're actually running a fundraising program where the team is in a core. So we have a team in a number of European countries, and we are using our direct network to investors like we have here, Sakari, so that we should know everybody in Europe who are doing direct deals and who are doing deals from the corporate balance sheet, or who are doing deals from their own pocket, like the family offices. We are focused on the growth phase. Okay, everybody can define growth phase a little bit differently, but it means that it has to be a significant equity. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense for us to go to, let's say, to Switzerland to ask for a few €100,000 to a Finnish startup. So we are looking for deals between 5 to 25 million, and those are the deals which are typically like Series A or Series B rounds. We are not looking for those 40 million, 50 million or pre-IPO deals because we are not full-fledged investment bank, and we cannot do those, areas where Morgan Stanley and Steve Yu and those guys are working. So we don't have the investment bank license, so we are not doing legals and we are not doing numbers for you. It's your numbers, your story. We open doors and we introduce you to the investors. That's the model. The ecosystem was already presented by Mika, so I'm not going to repeat that. And this is how we work. We have a 12 months program. It's normally costing 48,000 euro as a retainer and 2% as a success fee for successful fundraising. We have also a plan B, which is a little bit smaller retainer and a little bit higher success fee if we work with the deals where the size is significantly lower than 5 million. So we can even work with startups who are raising like 1 or 2 million, but then we need to have a little bit different model. And we have this phase where we will help you to, let's say, fine-tune your presentation, maybe take out something if there's a like 50-page long PowerPoint to shrink that to 12-page, or maybe we just use the one-pager as a door opener and get the excitement of the investors to ask more and give them more when they ask more. You need to make a data room to show all your history, of course, because if you are raising 5 million, people are already interested that if you have revenues, what are your costs and what are your risks, and do you have IP portfolio? Do you have any, let's say, claims from your ex-employees or ex-founders, so that they want to know everything about your books. And this 12 months is used so that maybe one sort of month will be for this fine-tuning and getting you ready for that. We also offer training a little bit different than what was shown before. We have a Speedmaster course. We have also training together with EIC. EIC is actually training their own customers so that companies will be more ready for the fundraising. Then, of course, the investor meetings are one of the most important part of the services. We make a list of normally from 80 to 120 investors. We choose them together with the founder so that we take away those which are not fitting his strategy or her strategy. There might be CVCs you don't want to show your business plan. Like maybe in Finland, we all know that don't show anything to Nokia because they will do it themselves anyway. But there's other companies who are also a little bit in the blacklist that maybe you don't want to show something to Bosch Venture if you are doing exactly the same toothbrush they are producing commercially or similar. There might be also CVCs, in addition to CVCs, some institutional investors you don't want to face, or you don't want to face some family offices. And then hopefully we will get the lead investor into the hook so that we can have a term sheet or maybe few of those. We will help a little bit to evaluate which term sheet is best for you, because valuation is not the only one. There might be other terms, other sort of small things into the paper. But as I said, we don't do legals. We are not allowed to do that. And then, of course, the transaction eventually, that's the main thing. As you said, it's the money, which is always the most important thing, at least if you are fundraising. And then, of course, many people think that there's only a little pocket of money in Europe, because we all know that all the money is in Asia and US. But actually in Europe, there's more than 1,000 investors. Of course, everybody knows these public guys, and we don't work with them. So we are not applying Business Finland grants. We don't apply from EIF equity, but we are working mostly with these CVCs, corporate venture funds, with the institutional investors like normal GPs, and then of course with business angels and family offices. There's no brand recognition here because normally these guys are not in a visible site. They don't publish much in the papers that I'm a family office, I have 100 million to invest, contact me, because they don't want to be flooded by these ideas. those guys on the left-hand side, they're used to that. They get 600 to 1,000 business plans per year, or maybe Sakari can tell you another number, but that's the case. And you need to have your heads up from that crowd. And this is what we help you to do. Polish your presentation, make sure that you are not bullshitting, because the investors are quite, I would say, to the details on their due diligence. Yeah, if you show like 10 logos that these are my customers, but actually they are not your customers, but they are your sort of speaking buddies where you have presented your product, but none of them are paying anything, I think they will catch that later. Okay, the sweet spot is what it is, and of course market traction is important. So we don't do due diligence on your business. So we need to trust that you have already some customers. Maybe 1 million annual revenues is already a sign that you have customers who are paying and paying again, or you can say 100,000 monthly revenues. That's as good, of course, market for that. And investors, as said, we are trying to, of course, select the best investors for your case, not to show your presentation to 1,000 investors, because then you get 950 saying that it's not in our focus, but to those maybe 50 or 80 who actually have focus in deep tech, in digitalization, in your particular business areas. And of course, we are international by nature, so we can of course show you all the Finnish investors. You can find them in the Pääomasijoittajat ry sites. There's probably 24 investors. In Swedish, similar associates, they might have 40. In British, they have 120, and in US, they have 600. So of course, you can always find those names, but really do international equity fundraising. I think that's the trick. So we have 4 people at the moment: Ben McClure in London, Marie-Caroline in Brussels, I'm here, and then Daniel Oriel in DACH region. And we are at the moment hiring 2 more guys, so hopefully next week we can say that we have few more. And these, all of them are working with their own ecosystem investors. So if Daniel is calling me and asking that, do I know anybody in Nordics who can do this or that deal, then of course I say that yes, I know 3 of them. I send him the link, I send him the details, and I will help him to talk with them, whatever case we have in that particular timeline. So why working with us? It's clearly about this building clear and compelling investment proposition, so that it's a little bit a stamp of trust as well, that if EIT Digital has selected you as a customer, not selected, you have selected us, of course, as a vendor as well. It's a little bit a stamp of something. We also have a fast tracks to EIC's decision making. We are not making decisions for them, but if you are our customers, you can actually pass by one of their gates so that you can actually go to the second gate directly. And EIC, as you know, those are the guys who have the money, not only the services. So of course the right investors are the key here, so that you don't spend time to talking to all of the guys who say that they never invest in deep tech, because most funds in Europe still, they only work with software, and of course AI is software mostly, but deep tech is something which is a little bit scary thing for many of the investors still. So I just flag few of the success stories so that you know that we work with the real guys. So this is one of the Slovakian company who is measuring trash bins so that you can optimize, so that you don't empty the empty trash bin, but you empty the full trash bins. I think all the Finns know that there was a Finnish company doing the same as well a couple of years ago, but these guys are already getting traction in pan-European markets. And they have a Taiwanese investor who joined the deal. Meetica is quite nice because it could be a road model for our FIRE activities as well. It's a spin-out from the supercomputing center of Spain in Barcelona, and they're actually doing prediction of hazardous environmental things like floods or stuff like that. And like Microsoft Climate Fund actually was one of the major investors. And the funny thing is that they were raising 8 million, but eventually they closed 13. So also you can have a good surprises that you get more money than you are looking for. Then of course you need to know how to use it. Robotech is a German company raising 7 million, DC Brain 5 million, Advitos 20, Then we have one sidekick held from Iceland. That's also a nice story. They raised 9 million originally, but there were so many investors who want to join in that they actually doubled almost the amount. So eventually they closed 17. So this is actually something which can also happen in a health sector. So maybe not going through any of those more. We have a few very fresh ones. They are not published yet. Our role in this FIRE program is that we should help one scale-up team per year. We are working with one at the moment, so there's still hope for 2 more. So if any of you guys are excited about fundraising in Europe, please you can check with us. And we have 2 more maybe news. One is that of course we also work with companies all the time. You don't have to be part of any program, but you can just contact us and we can think whether you work directly with this 48,000 retainer deal for 12 months. And then we have every once in a while calls for proposals, like we just had champion call. We had 440 European deals who showed us they want to work with us, and we chose 18 to work with. And those 18 are actually now sponsored by some third party. Is it sponsored by EIT or EIC? Sometimes it's a EU institution who pays this retainer, and we just work with the success fee then for the company. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jari. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivett Angyal, and I am the operations lead for the EDIHs at EIT Digital. And today we're going to have a panel discussion on access to finance. And I'm also part of the coordinator team of DigitalTech EDIH in Hungary. So this panel discussion is going to be very interesting because we're going to discover this topic from different points of views. We're going to have a venture capitalist, angel investor. We're going to have representative of Enterprise Europe Network, Business Helsinki, and one client of DigitalTech EDIH, a crowdfunding platform CEO. And she's going to talk about the crowdfunding aspect. And the fun fact is that basically their platform is actually suitable for all European companies. So basically, if you're interested in crowdfunding and you're interested in this solution, you can contact me and I'm going to connect you with her. She's going to join us online today. So maybe we can have her. And I would like to ask our dear panelists to join me on stage. Hello, Nora, we can see you.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm going to sit a little bit to see you. So, yeah, yeah, sure. So we're going to have a brief 35 minutes to discuss these questions. So let's start. I don't want to have a big monologue. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit so the people understand from which point of view are telling your opinion about this topic, and also the organization that you represent? Can we go with, where can we start?
Sakari.
With? Yes, Sakari.
Yeah. So Sakari from Vendep Capital. We are a Nordic and Baltic B2B SaaS investor, so only software and business software. We do seed checks, so 500K to 3 million. Our typical investment is something between 1 and 1.5 million at a very, very early stage, when the company has its very few first customers outside this region. So solving a big problem and breaking out of the Nordics and Baltics.
Thank you very much.
All right, nice to see everybody here. My name is Olli Siermo. I work for Business Finland, the government innovation agency. And there I focus especially on generative AI and entertainment products. I guess pretty much everybody nowadays knows what Business Finland does, but we aid different kind of new companies in Finland with government-provided grants and with government-backed loans for every stage of the company's journey.
And I'm Milja Mäkelä. I'm the communications manager of FIPAN, Finnish Business Angels Network. And what FIPAN does, we're a network Literally, we matchmake startups, early stage, seed, pre-seed, to angel investors, and we co-invest together with fellow angel networks, with angels and VCs. And our median round is around 300K, and the tickets vary depending on the syndicate size or the ask, but typically the rounds or the valuations are between 500,000 to 2 million max, the companies that apply.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Timo Huttunen and I'm representing the Enterprise Europe Network. And my host organization in this network is Business Turku, like side branch of Business Helsinki. And this Enterprise Europe Network is a little bit like a sister network for the EDIH network, but its focus is on supporting companies going international, working in the single market, and also to support their innovation and sustainability goals.
Thank you very much. Nora, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you very much for this kind of invitation, and thank you very much for including me in this panel. I hope that the internet will also support my participation and I will have no blackouts. So my company is called tökeportal.com. This is the first Malta and Valletta and Budapest-based licensed equity crowdfunding platform. In Finland, we have, of course, a peer investor, and I'm quite, I hope, friends of them, and we follow them actively. We are very fortunate to have this platform here. Of course, we also are at your disposal with equity crowdfunding services. Our main target regions also include, of course, Finland, and there are a few corporates that are already interested in raising funds through us, those ones especially who target the South and East European regions and would take on the possibility of converting their clients, their prospective clients in these regions into their own investors. So I've been on the capital markets ever since I know my mind, and I find crowdfunding as the most important building block towards a really developed and interconnected ecosystem-based international financial market.
Nora, so let's jump into our first question. What are the most significant challenges companies face when seeking funding in the current market, and how should they address these challenges? We can go in the same order.
Okay, I thought it was a really good question, but I want to answer it from the perspective of the companies approaching us. So just from a single perspective. I think the hardest, Sakari at vendep.com, very easy to approach me. On subject line, just say we met at this event and I'll respond to you. So easy to approach VCs, super easy. The challenge is that most of you are not solving a large enough problem that VCs will actually want to invest. So you have to understand that, for instance, us, we are a 70 million euro fund, and we are looking for opportunities where we can invest and acquire maybe initially 15% of your company, and that stake will either grow or get smaller over time. Typically get smaller, but that stake should be able to return the whole fund. So the plans typically that we get are plans that get to a revenue goal. So even this week, I've had many discussions with entrepreneurs who are looking for funding to get to 1 million of annually recurring revenue. And that is not a big problem to solve. Most of you will get there, but it's not talking to a VC about the things the VC wants to hear. So when you approach, or the biggest challenge in approaching us is actually getting the second meeting. And the second meeting can only be gotten if you are looking to build a category leadership product or acquire category leadership in a niche. It can be small, a few hundreds of millions, but it has to grow very fast. And your solution has to be something that customers must have, must use every single day, and it must be very important for them in the long run.
Thank you. That's very informative and very useful to know. Olli? Yeah.
All right, so we are a bit different in this game. So where investors take equity from the company, require many things like everybody needs to use it. As a government, what we require is that you have a company, and it's in Finland, and it has minimum 2 employees working in Finland, paying taxes into our revenue system. And then the third, the most hardest and important part usually is that you have your own capital already existing, because we never give the money for free. We require that you also pay in your share, depending on the size of the project where you are. If you are an early stage startup, in Tempo it's just 30,000 euros, or ranging to, I think last year, it was a satellite company that got about 6 million euro government-backed loan. So their project size was about 12 million in that case. So we range in a large category. So if you now have the 2 employees, you have the great innovative idea, and you have the capital, feel free to talk with us.
Yeah, at FIBAN, we are industry agnostic, so we face a lot. We see kind of a lot of problems, but in different things with different kind of startups. But one thing that is in common is, of course, that from a communication and marketing perspective, because I have a background in that for 10 years, is that the comms part, how you communicate your idea to investors from the first stage, your elevator pitch, your pitch deck goes too much into technicalities, and we need to see the numbers just like VCs, and you want to see some revenue. We also want to see some revenue, or our angels want to see something that if you just set up a company, it's not the right time to apply for angel money. But when you have some revenue, when you can show a case that you have some customers and it seems to work, then we're interested, and that's the right stage to go into the growth and scale stage with, for example, angel investors who bring networks and expertise. Most of our members have an entrepreneurial background according to our member study. So it's like, it's no more than just funding. But definitely the communicative aspect, or asking too little or too much, then it doesn't make like a good case. That are you ambitious enough to grow if you're asking this little? If you're asking too much, are you realistic? So these are some things that come up quite often.
That's very interesting, actually, and so many different point of views. Timo, can you tell us more about the Enterprise Europe Network perspective? How is it?
Yeah, I take also a little bit different perspective on this same question, because the Enterprise Europe Network is also industry agnostic. We offer services for all industries, all size of SMEs, micro SMEs, small and medium-sized companies. So what we have observed so far is the problem with the time. The small company with limited resources, perhaps 5 more or less founders and nobody yet employed by the company, they are struggling with funding process that it's away from developing your business, approaching your customers. Although the investor might be seen as your first customer as well, or a customer as well, but still time not well spent, time spent on approaching wrong investors, or time spent on wrong proposal is away from your business. And that's something that we can offer some assistance, of course, with help of our networks, which we work together with, like EIT and EDIH and so on.
Thank you very much. And Nora, what about crowdfunding? What are the challenges?
Yes. Access to capital is the global challenge everywhere, even in the most developed financial markets. As also my colleagues just in the panel have just outlined, every single service provider, if we call them service providers, their services is funding, has their own expectations towards the potential startups, potential target companies, and therefore it's essential for a startup to understand crucially at which phase where to turn to. And what, of course, as has just been said, angel investors expect a certain level of the company to to be investable. VCs are even expect everywhere in the world at a higher level and a higher growth, as has just been said. Usually scalable businesses can ask for VCs money, and with an exit strategy, clear exit strategy, so that with the VC can exit with the founder within 5 to 10 years at a realistically growing huge growth. And it's not for everyone, as just has been said, but I have a good news that crowdfunding is for everyone. As the World Bank outlined in its first research that has become very famous in 2013, it was published that crowdfunding fills the funding gap when the founder has run out of its own resources, and it's not yet in the phase when angels, larger ticket angels, and or VCs or even banks would fund them, then it can turn to crowdfunding, which is an open call for everyone that joins the platform to invest with small tickets and to gather a bulk of small tickets together and get that funding. Every crowdfunding platform has its stories, its role models about funders that were turned down, I don't know how many times, by angels and VCs, and then found crowdfunding as the best tool to raise funds. Crowdfunding is more inclusive than other types of investments, therefore, and works together very well with angels and also with VCs. In Finland, it's not at all unknown. It's yet becoming to get to know. It's yet becoming familiar with the other types of investors in less developed capital markets, but it is a very nicely combinable tool to invest along with angels or also along with VCs. And the angels like it because the crowd leverages their tickets, and therefore that potentially investable startup can receive a larger ticket. And also VCs find it as a tool for further validation that if that if that entrepreneur closes a successful crowdfunding round, that's a good sign of being really investable, that there's a demand out there for that startup's services. So it's not competitive for angels or VCs, but it's a co-investment tool, and also it's good for matchmaking for government purposes. For example, civic crowdfunding, cultural crowdfunding, and social donation type of crowdfunding, it coexists very well with grants and with state support, as also municipalities use it. For example, also in Sweden, in Venice, in Milan, for that purpose, that potential grantee shall first run a successful donation-based crowdfunding campaign in order to prove that there is a demand within that region for that particular service that they wanted to ask the grant for. So it's very nicely combinable. That's all. That's the main message in here.
Thank you, Nora.
So maybe one comment to this. So VCs usually want to be coming into very clean cap tables, because you want the incentive to be with you, the entrepreneurs. So we do prefer that you approach us in the very, very early stages. So you don't raise many angel rounds, but you develop that plan to go after, that big problem, and then you raise enough money for that next stage. For instance, with us, it is to get to seed, to Series A, to the next funding round. And we really feel very, very strongly that cap tables should be clean. So we don't do spin-offs, and we certainly don't do very, very large founder teams. So we typically would want there to be one founder is sometimes a problem, but I'm not going to say that's an issue. But typically we would want there to be the earliest possible stage company with, say, 2 to 4 founders. 2 to 3 founders is probably ideal, so that the motivation to build that company and to raise additional funding rounds where you get diluted, you still maintain the motivation largely through equity. So one issue could be not just access to funding, but that you've raised too many funding rounds. And then you come and try to raise that large round, and us investors say, hey, there are now conflicting views on the cap table, or the cap table doesn't support the entrepreneurs. And that's also something you have to keep in mind.
Thank you, Milja.
And I'd like to agree with you on that, that the cap table needs to be clean also for angels, and not to exclude crowdfunding, but it's just to keep in mind that you shouldn't give away too much in the beginning. And it's not even in the interest of angels or other investors, because they need to think of their following rounds, or not in the interest, or it doesn't benefit the founder either to give away too much. So that's good to keep in mind when you're raising funding. So agreeing with that point.
Thank you. Olli?
Yeah, I definitely agree on the clean cap table part. We at the government, we don't so much care as angels or Acer series investors on the cap table, but of course it tells about the company a lot. If you have 12 investors in the company, 5 of them are still working in there and others have left. What I do love in crowdsourcing, or especially this kind of project, is that they tell about the interest for the product. If there is some sales you can do beforehand, that tells for us that, hey, there is something in this that people want to add in, but not as investment, but just buying the product.
Yeah, and adding to that again, that there are really some great cases that have raised equity crowdfunding, even at later stages, like Solar Foods just raised, but they were also first a VC-funded firm. So it's never like they don't rule each other out, and also make a good case from the marketing perspective that there is demand for a product or service. And then to mention that we also co-invest with a local crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding platform, Investor. And Innovestor, but yes, that's definitely like a option too, but it's just not that it's not a typical option, but definitely an option.
Thank you. Nora, do you have anything to add?
Yes, sure. The clean cap table and all this stuff. I think to put it more generally as a key takeaway of this debate that we have just heard, that a funding strategy shall be implemented as early as possible. I'm sure also my colleagues in here have seen dozens of startups running from and escaping from one funding round to the other, and exhausted, and then try to arrange things in place and then make mistakes that they get stuck within their cap table problem. But of course, this can all the time be solved. It's never too late. But in order to avoid costly mistakes, a good financial advisor that understands in depth the company, what the most funding, the best funding strategy is applicable, and also as an expert who then helps the entrepreneur to go through these shortcuts from one funding round to the other successfully without destroying the cap table and without the damaging future funding rounds like within VC, as just has been said. So everything is combinable, but wisely and smartly and timely, in a timely manner. That's, I think, a very important takeaway from this conversation.
Thank you very much. I think it's very useful that we have all these point of views, and then at some point they all meet each other. So just to summarize, it's very important to be conscious from the very beginning, like what kind of funding strategy a certain company wants to follow in the near future. So let's jump to next question. I think it's also a very interesting one. Between a scaling startup and a company with the ambition to become an SME, a small mid-size enterprise, which is more likely to secure funding, and why?
We obviously invest into the scaling companies and less to the ones who want to become, say, SMEs, say, grow to a few millions or 10 or 20 million. But we do think that many of the companies, the scaling companies, if your ambition level is high enough, which I believe all of you have here, and you go for the highest possible road, and then maybe you don't reach, that 100 million in revenue or whatever the most ambitious goal is that you can set. Even if you fail, you'll probably still get to a higher place than what you would expect, because you've hired better people, you raised maybe a little bit more money, and your ambition level took you to larger markets. So to encourage even the ones that have SMB plans to step up in the planning and maybe plan for that next level, or plan a bit higher, look for a bit larger market, and see if you can reach that goal. And maybe that leads you to a slightly larger SMB. But I do think SMBs have a higher chance of getting funding because they probably raise smaller amounts.
All right, so we have instruments for every stage of the company. It doesn't matter if it's a startup or an SME. And when we were talking previously about the clean cap tables and perhaps on the backside, what is the valuation of the company, especially for if you're an early stage startup, you can apply for the Tempo fund, which is if you have 30,000 capital, you can get 60,000 from government as a grant to build up the product. And when you go to a VC and you have an MVP, the company valuation is way above what you would have just with a PDF and a couple of CVs. And later on stages, you can apply for the government-backed loans, R&D loans, which are 50% of the project size. And since there is no cap on the project size, you can have multiple of them going after each other. And finally, there is the young innovative companies when you are already successful and asking if we can pour more money into your success.
Maybe I'll immediately comment this because I think you have a point kind of to me. So when we give the Tempo money, right now we are syndicating a deal, 2 VCs putting 750 each, 1.5 million. We are not going to dilute the founders by much more than 20%, and they don't have even a company. I think they just registered a company. But you have to have that huge plan. One of the founders is already in the US. The incoming investor is international. So I think it's harder to get this, much harder, but obviously then the starting resources are higher.
Thank you.
So scalable or SME, I would say scalable from an angel perspective, from a very general perspective, because both are fundable, both are great. There are no rules like this can't have funding or this can't have, but it's just the international scalability prospect there that usually investors, whether it's VC or angel, I'd say they want to see that there's ambition to scale it internationally and not just stay in Finland, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but then you need to think what kind of funding instrument is right for you if you want to keep it on a smaller scale.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd also elaborate a little bit on this funding instrument thing, because I believe I noticed that there was also this question about which other type of funding is available for company besides the private investments. It was also a question about these funding instruments in Finland and in EU. So whether the company is ripe and fit for some specific instrument or funding type, it's really up to the fact that the company has good understanding on the agenda of the funding agency, funding instrument, and its goals. Have they understood what is the purpose of different funding and different funding instruments? And that's often something that gets mistaken, and companies are just sourcing for money from different funding types. Companies coming to us, very early stage startups, just come to us and ask, hey, we know that Business Finland has this Tempo. Can we have this Tempo? And it's only about this money. And then we have to advise them that please understand what is Tempo for, and then develop your business accordingly first. and not the money thing first.
Thank you. Very interesting. Nora, what's your take on that?
Yeah, add just one more sentence, or once again, I'd like to highlight that the crowdfunding is very inclusive in this aspect as well. So SMEs can be very successful in crowdfunding. And there's one more, scalable companies, of course, as well. There are very many scalable companies that started with crowdfunding, for example, Revolut or other fintechs are very popular in crowdfunding, but sort of more traditional SMEs can as well make money out of crowdfunding. And like draft beers are very popular. I wonder if ever a VC ever invested in any craft beer brand. Haven't heard of this, or at only a very late stage. Food is very popular in crowdfunding, and other sectors like food. So that's also interesting that it's more inclusive than other funding types, other investment-based funding types. So I encourage all prospective SME entrepreneurs to consider crowdfunding as a tool, first to raise money and also to acquire prospective clients, or to get financed by their existing clients, which is crowdfunding also good for.
Thank you, Nora. And I think Jari would like to add some thoughts on this discussion.
Samuel Adams from Boston is actually venture-backed beer company, which is very successful, and it was, I think it was seed funded by a venture team. But I wanted to comment one thing, which is to all of you, that excellent panel with the excellent viewpoints, but like Vendep, Sakari explained very well their focus. It's a B2B SaaS business only, and the size is between 0 and 2 million or 3 million, but mostly 1 million in one tranche. Most of the VC funds actually define their focus very clearly. And if you go to a wrong fund who is not doing any deep tech, they will never read your paper. You are just one of those 600 they see per year, and they will throw it to the trash can. So you need to actually know with whom you talk before you start talking. And I think that everybody in the panel, they have a little bit different strategies and different focuses. Of course, Business Finland may be the broadest, but even they have some strategies, of course, what they invest in. Just a comment.
Thank you very much, Jari. So we can actually conclude that the companies have to be super clear about their end goal, because this is going to determine your funding and investment strategy as well. So let's jump to the third question. How long does the typical funding process take for companies, and how should they prepare for it?
Yeah, and I'll talk about this company that I referred there, because this is a very, very early stage company, and I'm part of the deal team, but I can't mention obviously the company name yet. So we are a technology investor, and we primarily in the early stages, we do invest. So we take your word that the tech is good, and we do then later, we do that due diligence. But we talk to your customers, and in this case, when there are not that many customers, we talk to these teams, former customers in the industry experts they have access to, that they're going to sell to. And this process of getting to know the founders and getting to know the market has taken something like, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8 months now. And that is very, very typical in deal making, even if the deal making at the end is competitive. And then you have to allocate time to syndicate or create a deal that the entrepreneur needs. So because this is such early stages, we might not want to put in that 1.5 million ourselves, but we put 750 each, and we mitigate that early stage risk so that the product actually comes out. So you can easily see here that then maybe the deal making takes another 3 months, and that is not just memos and things like this, but that's talking to investors, getting them on board, and this team actually then finalizing their plans and showing us that they can start spending, recruiting that money. So I'm going to say it takes roughly a year. But I would say that it takes about 3 months once we decide that we'll do the deal to syndicate and put everything together. There's then one funny bit, which is that we don't have the money in the fund's account. We still have to draw the funds down from our investors. So it takes another 20 days once we sign the deal for you to have the money. So it is really something like 3 to 4 months, the deal-making part. So you really have to know your investor that you are not wasting your time in the 6-7 months getting to know somebody and somebody is interested, but they will never make that investment because, well, you're looking for something else than the investor is giving. And that's why we try to say no really, really quick. So a typical no from us comes in a week. We have a Monday meeting, and in that Monday meeting, if not 2 people say, okay, we are interested, the entrepreneur gets a no back, and we might still track them. But it's roughly a year, 3 months to make the deal, 6-7 months, or maybe a bit more to track and build conviction that we want to be in this market, with this product, with that team.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the craft beer discussion, there is not a Finnish VC who has invested in a craft brewery, but Sisu Ventures made their own craft brewery in Espoo. Yeah, I've heard also about the 6-month runway rule, that you need minimum time to have your company alive from the first handshake you have with the investor until the funding. With Business Finland, once again, we are the oddball, so our system is a bit different. So for tempo funding, we try to do it in less than 2.5 months, which I think is too long at the moment, but because as a startup, 1 month is like a lifetime for you at that point. But anyways, what's possible there is that when you file an application to us, you can instantly start working on the project and adding costs to it. So when we finally do make an approval, hopefully, for your project, then you can apply those costs to there. And for larger sums like the R&D funds, it's something from 2 months to 3 months usual time.
From an angel perspective, it takes around the same time, 3 to 6 months approximately, but also depends on who you have investing. Is it just a solo investor who has a big ticket, then might be pretty fast. There's no strict due diligence. There is, of course, due diligence, but it's not as systematic maybe as with VCs. Then if you have a big syndicate of angels, and if something changes in the contracts, everyone has to re-sign, everyone has to agree on what's on the papers and so forth. So it really varies depending on who you have there on board. And if you have really experienced angels, they have a good system in place, might be faster.
Okay, and not wanting to repeat what is heard before about the private investments, I'd again expand on the other types of investments available, funding instruments available in EU. For example, the cascade funding types, which are, there's a big variety of different cascade funding projects offering a big variety of different support for SMEs. For example, just from mentoring or piloting your MVP. Typically, the size is between 5 to 50k euros, so not very big one. But might during this process, during this journey, a company might still be able to learn very critical lessons in these small projects, and then from the smaller instruments to bigger ones like EIC, then it takes lots of man-months from the company to prepare a winning proposal, for example, the EIC, and usually requires to hire an external consultant in helping you in the business. So there's a big variety in how much time this will take from the founders.
Thank you. So it's a little bit more complicated than the priest. Yeah. And Nora, what about crowdfunding? How long does it take to set up a campaign?
We typically say 3 to 4 months. It also depends on the length of the campaign, the ticket size that it wants to reach, the minimum target capital. At our yet small platform, if they achieve 1 million euro, that's good. The investor is much larger in here, but that would take until the capital is at their disposal it would then take about 3 to maximum 4 months. It's also very much up to the entrepreneur, how agile it is, how responsive it is. It's usually documents can get stuck at their part as well. Although the processes, of course, streamlined, and we have a well elaborated process. However, it always depends on the entrepreneur as well. With crowdfunding, upfront there's a very slight due diligence before the campaign can launch, that they can go live quite quickly within weeks. And during the campaign, when it seems that it's going to reach its minimum capital, then the due diligence will start. Of course, with all the elements of the due diligence are known ahead of the process, but nevertheless the entrepreneurs are very busy and they hate their own due diligence processes, and therefore it can be lengthier than expected. And of course then in the end they become very impatient, and but they are not going to get the funds until they are vetted. So this is the process that they must prepare for well ahead before launching the campaign.
Thank you very much, Nora. And we arrived to the last question today. So what types of support are currently available in the market to assist companies in securing funding?
And I thought, again, I'll answer from the perspective that we see. So I think in the Nordics and Baltics, I think governments provide the most support, be it then, various funding programs or just persons on the ground. And then in addition to that, there are obviously various accelerators, programs like yours. And then we see not that many, because we're working in early stages and the sums are so small. So like Jari said, it doesn't make any sense for an advisor to really go and raise anything below like 5 million or slightly under. So we don't see that many bankers, but we do see people who provide, or we do see founders who buy advice on just going through the deck, financials, ease the due diligence, and those are obviously available most like from the large auditors and things like this. They can be very expensive, so I mean we don't really require that, but I know some founders just want to be sure that the story is coherent on the number and other side. But from an early stage investor, we really don't require. I mean, like I said, we're very easily approachable. It will take us 6-7 months just to talk to you, and when we start making the deal in 3 months, you will know exactly what we need. Typically, if you would now approach me via email, I don't need a deck. I just need something that explains what that big problem is and why it's a must-have to your customers. So you can start with that, and then that 6 months or that getting to know, you'll have plenty of time to engage with somebody who will help you with the deck. So governments mostly, that's my answer.
Thank you.
All right, then government speaking. So yeah, we are mostly known for our funding instruments, but Business Finland has multiple other functions also that we can help entrepreneurs with. We have, for example, Deal Room, which is a service that intends to help different kind of startups on meeting VCs, how fixing their pitch decks, and on the discussion, like let's say a prepping school for talking with VCs. Besides that, we have also offices in all the countries around the globe that can help you in getting to the markets. Also, these offices inform us when they meet up with VCs who want to invest into certain areas. So by applying to our programs that are, for example, we have a generative AI program, you can tell that your company is working on this, and if we get an VC who says that, hey, we want to invest into a Finnish AI company, then we can point your name out to them. So please be in contact with us, and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah, so pretty good options out here already, governmental and private ones. But what Freepon does and how we can help startups is that we have a guaranteed feedback process. So whatever, even if you don't get funding, our deal flow manager will give some feedback of why you didn't proceed further. And then if you proceed in the screening process a bit further, you get a bit more detailed feedback. And we really want entrepreneurs to succeed. And then Our services for startups are for free, so you can apply. You'll always get the feedback for sure. Then we have startup help clinics once a week starting from August. Together with our partners, and we have startup office hours where we can solve together with our partners certain bottlenecks that you may have with funding. So those are like the concrete things that we offer. And then we have all sorts of assets on our website, free assets like angel investment guide, like where you can see what do angels want, who is it for, what to include in your deck. There's even an example pitch deck there. But yeah, really also a vast network of great other helpers like the people here. So a lot of good help out there.
Thank you. And I think it's a very interesting question from the Enterprise Europe Network point of view as well.
Yeah, and actually comes this difficulty that Enterprise Europe Network is a network of 3,000 experts working in 62 countries. So approach is very, very big. And we have some 500 member organizations, so it's very difficult to say what each member can offer. I can only speak on behalf of Business Turku, that what we can help with companies residing in our region or even outside it is that we can engage you in our accelerator programs where we help in building your business model, business case, helping you to make the pitch deck, and even working in this financial design task. And for this financial design, we have this one specific service available for companies which are looking for their first investment. It's called investment readiness process. It's Swedish originated by the Swedish investor Björn Larsson, and in this 5-week training program, we help you to make your offer for the first investor as lucrative as possible. So unfortunately, at the moment, this is only for companies residing in Turku region, but perhaps we can find some way to work that problem out.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot one instrument is still available and that we do help with. So we have discussed about private, crowd, Finland, but then there is of course the European Union funding. And that's usually a bit more harder to access, especially because it's much more bureaucratic, it's more difficult. And we do have a site called EU-rahoitusneuvonta.fi, which especially foreigners got really easily here. But we also have people who can help with those EU fundings inside Business Finland. So if you need any help on those, please be in contact.
I take this opportunity to advertise a little bit again our services in Business Turku. We have this little bit like a Turku version of the Innovaatio seteli called R&D voucher, which is for company from anywhere in Finland who wants to work together with a Finnish Turku region university. And this money can be spent on making application for the EU funding projects. So there are lots of professionals and researchers in our universities which can help you in building a good winning application, and that you can use this Turku money for this purpose.
And I want to underline, if you are applying for EU money, please do use a consultant who knows how it works. Yeah. They are difficult.
Thank you. Nora?
I would just like to express my impression from this panel, if you allow that for me for a second, that for all the audience, that you're really very fortunate, guys, to be in this room and to listen to all these experts and to have this extreme advantage to be situated here in Finland, where all these services at your disposal. This is not at all that obvious or self-explanatory. I think the Finnish ecosystem and also the government has done extreme efforts, outstanding efforts, much above the standard of the financial markets in Europe. I think not only it's outstanding out of the general European level, but above all. And so once you've devoted your time and you are here in this room, but really don't miss the opportunity to collaborate with my colleagues who are present here, because with their help you can really make you can really be a successful entrepreneur. And it's not at all take on the opportunity to take it seriously and go ahead and use these opportunities for your own fortune. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and I couldn't agree more, actually, and that's why these events and these matchmaking events and cross-city collaborations are so important, because we have so much to learn from you, actually, and yeah, outstanding and amazing and impressive opportunities. This was it for today. Venture Deep Capital, Business Finland, FIBAN, Enterprise Europe Network, and Tőkeportál were represented, and thank you very much, Sakari, Oli, Milja, Timo, and Nora for being here, sharing your thoughts with us. I think it was super interesting and informative, and we got so many different point of views. So nothing's gonna save you from finding the right opportunity for yourself. So yeah,
and
indeed,
good luck.
and good luck. And indeed, you are very fortunate to be here and hear all these things. So thank you very much.